So, like the last days, I think it's in Matthew 24, Jesus described the earthquakes and the floods, the hurricanes, fires everywhere, destroying the earth. Everybody's getting a taste of homelessness. That's one thing that's happening. So maybe people will be able to empathize with the chronically homeless a little more now. Maybe that's the message that's, in everything works together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purposes. Maybe it's one of those kind of deals. That even though it's not God's fault, because these are bad things, these natural disasters, this is a result of evil getting more control over the earth, that these things are allowed to happen. Okay? But it's not God doing it. I don't believe that. It's just bad that God allows it to happen, but always make sure it works to his benefit in the long run. Okay? At the end of the day, God always benefits from these tragedies. We always say, look how it brings out the best in everybody and all this, But if you say, well, people ought to volunteer and help each other like in Puerto Rico and all this, well, do you do that? I mean, you see, we all, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if you're going to say people ought to volunteer, then what about all those people that are paid? They're search and rescue, the first responders. Why should they get paid but not this group? I mean, isn't that hypocritical and inconsistent? I mean, it doesn't make sense. When people's lives have been disrupted and the first responders, they're not affected by it because they're making money. That's their paycheck that's what makes them relevant is these disasters. But how does that help the guy volunteering who's not getting any income because his business, his employment has been shut down due to the natural disaster? You see? But you're going to tell him he's the one that ought to volunteer. You see, there's no rhyme or reason. The entire establishment is fraudulent. It's based on nonsense. This house is built on sand and it's got to crumble. It's destined to crumble, but they're just trying to keep it patched together as long as they can until what? They're insane people that are running things. They don't know until what? They haven't thought that far ahead. They just want to get through this life and stay on top of their game. That's the glory they want, is just serving the beast, man. This voice in their head is Satan that's been lying to them and promised them stuff they're not going to get. You're going to send them to hell, to Dante's Inferno. Let's see, TMZ had this guy, I wasn't familiar with him before, but they had this guest, Sean Merriman, on the show. I guess he's pretty much a black guy, I guess. And they were talking about the NFL with Harvey Levin and Charles, and about the NFL and this kneeling debacle thing. And overall, I thought it was a fair piece, and I rarely agree with Harvey Levin on some of this political stuff, but it seemed okay, But they're going to have to make some rules, and they should. People go there for entertainment, and they're not going there for a political speech. So, yeah, the players have a responsibility. They have an obligation to give the people what they want, because that's what they're paying for. They're not going there to be reprimanded and say, who started it all? And then they don't point this out. They don't point out who started it. They say, oh, Trump's fault. He's inducing the division. Remember this Kaepernick guy wearing the socks that, mocking the law enforcement, the police, the pigs and all this stuff, showing little piggies and all this. Okay? Imagine the society you'd have if we didn't have law enforcement out there. Okay? Just imagine. Okay? If you think it's dangerous now, okay, just imagine what it would be like. And again, I'm for fixing the problems. I'm for ending desperate extreme poverty, which would avert the vast majority of crime out there. But you've got to go this thing together. You don't put the cart in front of the horse, okay? You do things in an orderly fashion, in the right protocol. So you don't get rid of law enforcement, which we need. Okay, first you get rid of the extreme desperate poverty, and then there's not going to be a need. The law enforcement's not going to be relative anymore. We're not going to need them because the crime is going to have plummeted in a kinder, safer, gentler society. All the problems will plummet. How much does the debt cost us? The debt's going to plummet. The dubious warfare is going to plummet, and all the implications, ramifications of that. 22 guys a day taking their own lives. The social welfare system is going to plummet. And as the problems get fixed through just ending desperate poverty. And it'd be one whole hell of a lot incalculably cheaper for society to do that thing. But people won't do it because they believe their self-interests are involved in making sure the problems are maintained, and because their job revolves around these social ills going on and on and on and on. It's their job security. So, God, we're in a lot of trouble, and we got to face it, folks. We got to be honest. I want to be honest about the stuff I'm talking about. Where are we going to be in 10 years if we keep going this direction? What's homelessness going to be like? What's your rent going to be like? What's your mortgage going to be? What's the percentage of homeowners going to be like? Is it going to be 40%, then 30%, in 20 years, and then 20% in 30 years, 10%? Then what? That's it. You're just rent slaves on the plantation. Okay, hopeless. Eminem. Man, this guy blows chunks. I can't stand these people. They got no basis for these claims they make. They ought to be sued for slander, defamation of character, all of them, as far as I'm concerned. I don't like to see it at all. Alex Jones had this black cop. I think he's from Tucson, Arizona, or Phoenix. Really, really nice guy, Guys like that give me hope for this new generation. Love this guy. And he was commenting on the NFL thing quite a bit too. He's giving his view of it. I don't believe in just blind patriotism. I do believe that dissent is the highest form of patriotism. That when you think somebody's wrong, I don't care if it's Trump, point it out, but make sense. Be logical and reasonable. Be willing to discuss, why you think he's wrong, what the evidence is, or the policies of America. See, is it American that 9/11 took place? Is it American the banking bailout took place? Is American this mass murder in Vegas took place? Is it American that the JFK assassination took place? Is it American 9/11 took place? On and on in that theme. Is it American that the Glass-Steagall Act was allowed to be destroyed, the deregulation of the banking industry that kept the bankers at bay? Is that okay? Is that American? No. So I am rah-rah. I'm a jingoist at heart, and I believe in that. But not without caveats, not without exceptions. No. You got to say, no, that wasn't an American thing that happened there. That was a globalist, New World Order, cabal thing. That was an evil thing. That was a beast system thing. That was an establishmentarian critical mass thing. Of these thieves, these genocidal maniacs thing, these grand puppeteers thing. All right. I guess I'm about done. I got my car back recently from being in the shop for an extended period. These guys that do automatic transmissions, if they've got a good reputation, they're good at what they do, these guys stay busy all the time. If you want a good job, here's an entrepreneurial idea. Just even if you don't know how to fix an automatic transmission, go out there, set up a shop, and you can find guys to work in the transmission. Just oversee what they're doing, make sure they know what they're doing. You can watch some YouTube videos and you can figure out what's involved. You can become a bit of a backseat quarterback, I guess. And just if you understand enough about how an automatic transmission is put together, then you can know if they know their stuff or not. But you could start a shop without knowing a damn thing about automatic transmissions, but you just got to hire people to do it. But these guys stay really busy. So a shout out to Matt and Vic that run the Sierra automatic transmission shop here in Chico. A couple of great guys. I really admire these guys. I told them I could kiss them, though they'd probably rather I didn't when I picked up my car yesterday. But it's so nice. I got this car with 225,000 miles on it. It's so nice that they just honored a warranty that, for the most part of getting my car fixed, because it wasn't done entirely the first time. I couldn't really afford for a full rebuild job, which is the only way to do it right with these things. Otherwise, it's a bit hit and miss because there's several things that can cause even a minor issue. If you're getting a minor issue in your transmission, take it in. It could be a minor fix. It doesn't cost you much. But if it has to do with high mileage like mine, then the chances are they're going to need something like the valve body, which is essentially, when you replace the valve body in a transmission, essentially you replace the transmission. It doesn't cost that much, but it's labor intensive. But I got a real deal on it because of the warranty aspect that they stood by over there at Sierra Automatic Transmissions. Go see Matt or Vic if you're here in Chico. Great guys. Remember, they're busy, so be prepared to wait. But it's worth it, if you can't afford to go out and buy a new car. And to me, I don't want to buy a used car because I don't know how it's been maintained. If they haven't kept maintenance records religiously, I don't want anything to do with a used car. I know I got my car at 19,000 miles, and I know that I've put in nearly 70 oil changes in that time. In the last 16 years, I know that motor is about like new. And now with the transmission running like new, I've got another 200,000 miles I can put on that car. Very comfortable car. Feels really nice to drive, so I like it. 2000 Chevy Impala with the 3.4 V6 motor. I don't want a new car. My attitude is if you're happy, if you're even halfway satisfied with the vehicle you have, hang on to it. Like my 40-year-old GMC van, 1977 GMC. I love that car. Small block, 350 V8 motor, high energy ignition, solid state ignition system. Believe it or not, it came stock with air conditioning, cruise control, going back 40 years. Nice, comfortable captain seats with the armrest. Love that car. Tilt steering wheel, the whole bit. The whole kit and caboodle in that old van. It's nice to drive. I wish it had a 4-speed, though. It's only a 3-speed, so I'm winding up around 55. But maybe if when the transmission starts slipping on me again, I had it rebuilt in Las Vegas when I lived down there in 2003. I had it rebuilt down there, and it's still been working fine. Works great right now, 14 years later. Doesn't take much maintenance. You change your fluid once in a while, filter once in a while. You're good to go about every 50,000 miles. And those ones aren't even expensive. And those old transmissions, it costs I think I spent about $600 to rebuild it down there when I lived down in Vegas. When it started slipping, the clutches start slipping, and then you got a problem. Because you'll lose a lot of gas mileage, and the problem won't get better on its own. The clutches have to be replaced in those things. So, anyhow, enough on automatic transmission repairs. So, that's it. I'm done with current events. Now I'm on to some thoughts. I'm not going to get very far because I've been long-winded and discombobulated this week. I apologize to everybody. I hope you can forgive me. But here's some thoughts from this past week, or the previous week, actually. I didn't finish them all last week. I'm asking here, do people really understand the implications, the ramifications of Slick Willie allowing deregulation, that's the Glass-Steagall Act, within the lending institutions? Understand this. Essentially, he gave these criminals unbridled access to the wealth that belongs to you and I. And God knows how far into the future our rightful wealth will maintain sequestered, confiscated by the criminal money masters of misery class of people. That's right, folks. It's a big deal, man. You need that market correction. We need to revisit 2008. That's what Trump ought to be pushing for. It's a big deal. And that 10% that wanted that bailout, they're going to hate him for it. The rest of the upright, decent people, they can understand. They say, look, if my house goes from $200,000 to $100,000 because of this market correction, what does that mean? That means my rent's going down. I could save money. I can buy a second house. My mortgage will go down. That means everything. My mortgage will get readjusted. So that money I was paying to the bank, I could put in my pocket or my piggy bank. Then I could go out and buy another house. So look at this correctly, and you too will understand the great benefit of allowing this market correction to take place. the worth of your currency. Your housing dollars will go through the roof. And then it'll have a chain reaction. So other things start going down. When people see pressure coming off them, they'll say, yeah, I'll charge you less for your plumbing job. Yeah, I'll charge you less for your contracting job, whatever it is, whatever. You understand how we can work together here if we get it, if we just fundamentally get basic economic principle, what's supposed to happen, how to define progress relative to our economic burden. Okay, you want it to go down. That's progress. It gets less and less and less. As the worth of your currency goes up, your cost of living goes down, your taxes go down. That's how it works, folks. Very simple. A child can understand this. They can understand the rhyme and the reasons why this happens.